Hello, Internet, I am the hero of Julios. But also, hello, hero of Julios. It is I, the hero of Julios. I have brought you a message because, under normal circumstances, you would be reading this chapter on Sunday when it officially comes out on, the official Shonen Jump website. However, circumstances have led to you needing to do it as soon as it got translated like everyone else. Don't worry, I've already taken the precaution of making sure that this uploads on the proper Monday so that everything happens as it should be. But you, having read the official release, may notice some translation misconstrueds if I, end up making any. Regardless, those of you watching right now, I am going to the One Piece card game tournament in Peoria, Illinois right now, so I will not be available to do my usual on Sunday record and then Monday it uploads like it's supposed to. Regardless, we are here in chapter 1123, The Void Fortnight. And my little opening will become more relevant as we discuss. The art this week is a continuation of Yamato's pilgrimage across Wano as Yamato and Denjiro share in a delicious bowl of Odin, a delicious pot of Odin with all the children that had thrown rocks at her, going to show that just because your parents are bad people does not mean you yourself deserve punishment. Now, if you yourself become a bad person, then, I guess apples falling from trees and whatnot. But the actual chapter itself we are going to segue into with the Marines out cold. The burst of hockey was beyond anything they were capable of handling, and even vice admirals like Dahl are down and out. Which makes sense, considering how powerful regenerative beings like the Gorosei even had to flee at the sight of this burst of hockey. Dory and Bragi actually are very interested in it. One of them, the speech bubble, I think it's not really clear to me, but one of them mentions how, oh wow, all the Marines are out cold, that's pretty cool, and that was a very powerful burst of hockey, and the other one says, wow, it's even better than red hairs, but strangely enough, it didn't feel malicious at all. I don't know if this is just from the translation, but the way they said that, it feels like they were saying there's some malice in Shanks's hockey. They might have also just been saying, hey, it felt like that hockey was from an ally, not an enemy kind of deal. However it happened, all the Marines are out, including Vice Admirals, but not S-Snake. And I assume the other Seraphim as well, but we actually see her in her little bubble. She rolls over to a Marine and she's like, you guys, you gotta wake up. You gotta wake up. The Straw Hats are getting away. I do it myself, but I'm in a bubble, which apparently nobody can release her from. I assumed because it was bubble technology, it could be, popped, but that does raise my question of how are they going to get out of that? I guess since York is on the side of the world government, she'll be able to get them out of the bubble, but I'm interested to see if this bubble technology comes back, because imagine, Luffy and Blackbeard, they're in their epic clash, Devil Fruit on Devil Fruit, bashing at each other with insane amounts of hockey, which we don't actually know if Blackbeard has conquerors, but we'll get to that someday in a chapter. But as the two of them are clashing, just suddenly bubble, and that's it. The Marines just take them out with bubbles. It's always bubbles. So, yeah, that's, I'm interested to see how S-Snake gets out of that. But the question on my mind is, are the Seraphim incredibly strong-willed? Did the bubble protect them from the burst of hockey? Is it because they're artificial beings? That being said, would Stussy be immune to hockey bursts? Because, she was able to stand firm when Big Mom let out her hockey back on Whole Cake Island, but that's probably just because Stussy is, very strong herself. I'm interested. Is it because they are clones of the Seven Warlords of the Sea, who themselves are also very strong? Or is it maybe it's Lunarian DNA? Maybe it's just an amalgamation of all these factors. However the reason, even in their child forms, the burst of Conqueror's hockey from Joy Boy, which we have, again, Gorosei taken out, didn't knock out the Seraphim. So I'm interested to see Oda's reasoning for that. And maybe well, maybe the fight between Zoro and S-Hawk is not over. And that is going to be the biggest hurdle for Zoro as the world's greatest swordsman. Carrying on from there, though, Luffy thanks the Iron Giant. The Iron Giant turns back and looks at him. We don't see, like, any epic, Terminator-style thumbs up or anything, but I assume deep down Emmett's like, go, new Joy Boy, Monkey D. Luffy, I believe in you. And he's going to turn around and deal with whatever Saturn has planned, because Saturn's still there. So the two ships, the Thousand Sunny, the Giant's ship, which I forget the name of it right now, they both sail off into the sunset as the rest of the crew is kind of getting back together. So the Giant ship alongside the Thousand Sunny sails off as people start reuniting with each other. We got, Bonnie hugging her dad. Zoro is perfectly healthy. Usopp, Dory, and Bragi are just having it out. Big tears, big hugs. Chopper's first time meeting these guys, because he only met Oimo and Kashi. Any crew member past Sanji never got to meet Dory and Bragi. Even Vivi got to meet Dory and Bragi. So that's pretty cool. For those of you who ship Luffy and Nami, there's another nice little panel there of Nami comforting Luffy as he's 100% out of power now. He's got to be beat beyond beat right now. But so that's cute. That's something for me specifically. As always, though, Sanji finds a way to give himself a side quest as he walks over to Vegapunk's corpse. They got it on a big pillow because can't really give him a proper burial right now. His the only soil is a little occupied. And he says, "Hey, Vegapunk, I don't really understand what you said to me earlier. I feel like maybe things could have ended differently. But regardless, that was quite the bombshell, and it seemed like you were a little more confident that things were going to go crazy than you let on." That's because, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting a mini flashback. You've heard of the Void Century, 100 years of history completely erased from the books, only held aloft by the poneglyphs, which hold the true history that happened during that time. Well, get ready for the chapter's title, The Void Fortnight, which a fortnight is like a span of X amount of time, roughly about 2 weeks, so yeah. So this Void Fortnight begins 2 weeks ago with Vegapunk Stella, I should say, Vegapunk Pythagoras, and Vegapunk Shaka. The three of them are together as they have discovered there is a traitor in their midst. That's right, Vegapunk knew about this 2 weeks ago. So Pythagoras brings it up first. He goes, the Mother Flame seems to have been missing some power, and I've been looking through the logs, and it's just there's inconsistencies all over the place. Somebody tampered with the data. There's a little bit of power missing, and that is not a good thing. We need to figure this out. I think there's trouble afoot. And Shaka brings up, well, there might be a traitor among us then. And Stella's like, oh my gosh, it's all my fault. I should have never turned my own evil into a person. Lilith has betrayed us, which is hilarious because obviously Lilith would be the first guess to anyone who met all the Vegapunks because she's literally the one that calls herself the evil one. She is the evil Vegapunk. It would make the most sense for her to be the traitor in terms of believable personality. However, from a storyteller's perspective, weirdly enough, that makes her the least likely to be the traitor, which hilariously can double back on itself, which makes her the traitor because it's surprising, because you wouldn't be surprised, therefore you prepare yourself to be unsurprised, which results in the surprise that is the surprise of being surprised. Keeping up with me? Good. Cut to 1 week later, as Pythagoras brings out his notes and says, I figured it out. The inconsistencies in the uploads, the inconsistencies in the data, the link between our minds and punk records. There can only be one person who is the traitor. It is York. And Shaka's like, whoa, really? York? The one constantly sleeping and eating, and that's it? And Vegapunk's like, or Vegapunk Shaka, because they're all Vegapunk, but I'm just going to say Vegapunk for the simplicity of it. Vegapunk's like, Sir York? Oh, I owe Lilith an apology. Although, I guess Lilith didn't know I suspected her, so I whatever. This actually makes a lot of sense. It is a bad idea to let one's greed run amok, and yet I had the audacity to literally personify mine. Yeah, when you put it that way, Vegapunk, yeah. So with this information, they continue looking through logs and such, and they notice a white transponder snail was attached to one of their outgoing transponder snail calls. Apparently, you can get the transcripts from a white transponder snail, or you can, I guess not transcripts so much as hearing the recording. So they were able to hear what York basically called the world government and told them, hey, Vegapunk's studying the Void Century, and that's when Vegapunk's like, oh, now all the Cypherpole agents make sense, and this is not good, and they're going to send someone to kill us, and this is a problem, and okay, so what we gotta do is we gotta, I guess, figure out how to handle this. So they're trying to figure out how to handle this until 6 days ago, when Leluzia got erased, and Vegapunk finally has it all click into place. Pythagoras, Shaka, Leluzia's been destroyed by a giant whatever. I need you, Pythagoras, to go keep an eye on the sea levels, because if my theory is correct, Shaka, I know what the Mother Flame is being used for. It was used to power an ancient weapon. Without saying it out loud, it is very safe to assume at this point that Eem is in control of Uranus. Which means currently, Pluton, the ancient weapon, is located in Wano, an allied country of Luffy. Possible target of Blackbeard due to, well, unfortunately due to Luffy letting Caribou just kind of hang out with them. Fishman Island, also allied territory of Luffy, home of Shirahoshi. Also a location of an ancient weapon that Blackbeard may know of because, yeah. Also, it's possible that Eem knows about it too, because one, Eem would definitely have heard of the Sea Kings all gathering to one spot like that, also the escapades of Luffy on Fishman Island all those years later, and Eem, having existed 800 years ago, knows what Poseidon is capable of. So it's possible the world government also knows about Shirahoshi, or at least that Poseidon has reawakened. But then finally, Uranus. I think Eem has it. I think it's at Mary Joie. I think it's the beam thing. Obviously, it requires a great amount of electricity, or power, not just electricity. Unfortunately for all of us, it looks like after the events of this chapter, that Mother Flame is officially 100% in the world government's hands. Things are not looking good. So what continues on from there? Well, Vegapunk tells them, if I must die, then I will gladly sell myself out for the sake of the world. Every time we get closer to finding out more about the world government, the more shrouded things become, and I don't know what to do with that information. So, the only things we can really focus on now are figuring out a fail-safe plan, figuring out a kill switch plan, and making sure that the cloud-making technology does not get destroyed. Mostly because we know the world is sinking, and this is Vegapunk's way of saving the world. If we all just live on floating clouds, then it doesn't matter how high the sea level rises, because we'll just keep floating above it. And as we saw with Enel, apparently just casually floating up to the moon is a possibility, so no matter how flooded the One Piece world gets, it's always going to be, you can always just go up. Finally, 2 days ago, we get the recording of the message, and Shaka, Pythagoras, and Stella entering the memory erasing chamber together. This is the same chamber that Vegapunk pulled the lever and Kuma lost all his memories. Very emotional, very sad moment. But as the three of them are laying there, they agree that this is the right thing to do. We need to put our faith in ourselves because our reactions to York's plan need to be genuine for everything to go off safely. In fact, we even see York during this flashback. She actually happens upon Stella just as he's like going over the Iron Giant, because in that moment he's hiding the transponder snail, and they talk about the power source, the mother flame, and how much help it's going to be to the world. And York's like, oh yeah, I really hope we can get that up and running. And Vegapunk's like, yeah, me too. I really actually don't now, which is sad. So as their memories get erased of the last 2 weeks, they awaken to a letter from Vegapunk. It says, Dear Vegapunk, this is Vegapunk. How are you? You woke up in the memory chamber. You know for a fact if you woke up in the memory chamber, it's for a very important reason that you should not look into. Anyways, things are gonna get crazy real soon. And I mean really soon. Like, Straw Hat Luffy is coming right now towards you guys. That's crazy. But I need you, it says here, this is how they translated it. When push comes to shove, put your faith in me and die. To which Vegapunk reading it, you see his eyes, jut out towards it. Pythagoras' eyes jut out towards it. Even from the Daft Punk mask, Shaka's eyes jut out towards it as they're like, oh, did we just tell ourselves to die? Yeah. So, with that information, Vegapunk, obviously, the events of Egghead occur, and everything from that point on we understand. Till one last little flashback that I kind of wish was in a chapter prior, rather than shown to us in a flashback. It's the scene where, I think it's Atlas, Vegapunk, Sanji, Frankie, Bonnie, and Kuma. They're all in that little pod together, getting away. And Vegapunk tells Sanji, I need to stay behind. And Sanji says, but you'll die, because they're trying to kill you specifically. And he tells Sanji, like, no, that's okay, I made peace with it, I have to do my part, and I think something very important is going to happen when I die. Now, this is because Vegapunk knew that his memory was erased and his past self asked him to die. But I kind of wish, maybe for the mystery factor, that we heard this conversation before Vegapunk got spider stomped. Regardless, Sanji, finishes thinking about that conversation as the Giants and the Straw Hats have a huge cheer. They have a big toast together as Dory and Bragi hold Usopp aloft in their hand because, let's face it, of the crew, Luffy and Usopp are their favorite. That is the fan favorite. Oimo and Kashi probably think Usopp is their favorite Straw Hat. Like, the Giants are gonna love Usopp. Of all... Come on. Usopp, Aesop, Elbaf, Fable... Aesop's Fables is Usopp's Elbaf. Like, this is where we're going, okay? This is where we're heading, people. So, as they're cheering together, you see, like, Luffy's in his little, old man form, and he's like, oh, guys, can we do this later? I don't feel so good. But with that, we sail to Elbaf. The Egghead arc will probably come to a close either next chapter or maybe 2 chapters from now. Or we may never see what happened. Iron Giant may just be staring down Saturn, and next chapter it's like, so 3 days later, we sailed away. Oh, you wanted to know what happened to Iron Giant? Oh, don't you worry about that. We'll cover that in the Saturn flashback 800 chapters from now because it's One Piece. But let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think Vegapunk made the right choices here with the erasing his memory instead of just knowing York was the traitor? Was it better to, have all this chaos happen so that he could kill Switch and reveal the truth? Did Vegapunk know that the 5 elders were these giant monsters? Does Vegapunk even know about Eam? And what's going to happen to Lilith now that she is the last surviving good Vegapunk? Which is really ironic since she's the evil one. Thank you for watching as always though, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.